When you're younger and you're a bit more idealistic, you definitely want to do a good job. There's a fire that seems to burn in us, believing that we can make a difference. And when you're a young priest, it's certainly that case. But I don't have to tell you guys that. You know that, most of you. You've been there. Hello? I used to, from time to time, have a dream. I would just be in my parish. I would be celebrating Mass. And all of a sudden, God would come walking down the aisle. There was a much smaller church than this, so God didn't have quite as far to walk. But he got to me, and he just threw his arms around me and said to me, "You're doing a good job." And that was, that was the dream. I don't have it so much anymore, but like I say, when I was younger, when I was maybe still in some ways unsure of myself, the effect that I was having, whatever, that's something that meant a great deal to me. Feast of All Saints, we have these Beatitudes. We've heard them many times. It's been said, the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew's Gospel, chapters 5 through 7, is a summary of the entire Gospel. And these Beatitudes are a summary of the entire sermon. But you remember, we've talked several times about the thing that mattered so much, the cultural value that meant everything, was the value of honor. And so scripture scholars tell us that where we have the translation as blessed, in all likelihood, when Jesus was proclaiming this understanding of how things are in the kingdom, it's far likely he was using a term that was, how honorable are the poor in spirit? How honorable are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness? Because to his audience at the time, that would have had a lot more meaning. That would have had a lot more power to it. But regardless, please understand the power of these words of Jesus. We who don't consider our lives to be anything other than ordinary, everyday, we are special in the eyes of God. The values of the kingdom so very often turn our societal, our cultural values on their heads. We point out people who are important, who are great, who are worth paying attention to. And Jesus says in the kingdom, those aren't the ones that are great in God's eyes. It's the ordinary, the everyday. Jesus says, as he gathers everyone around at the end, "Well done, good and faithful servant." How much do we yearn to hear those words from God? This week, I received a real blessing from a member of the parish staff. It was a YouTube video. It was video of a song that I had not heard before, but it was really written for all those heroes during this time of COVID-19. But as I listened to it, I thought, yeah, here's God speaking to us, reassuring us, not just of the way that we are being patient with the restrictions that we're having to put up with, not just being concerned about others that we're willing to put up with the hassle or the inconvenience of wearing our masks, of social distancing, but just in general, in our lives that we're not sure I just, on this Feast of All Saints, picture God speaking this to us, and it loses so much when I just read lyrics as opposed to hearing the song itself, or the video when the song was being sung by the One Voice Children's Choir. But maybe the words can have some meaning for you as well, remembering that we are children of the promise. This is by Alicia Keys, and it's called Good Job. You're the engine that makes all things go, and you're always in disguise, my hero. I see your light in the dark. Smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart. Know I love you for that. Honest and selfless. I don't know if this helps, but good job. You're doing a good job. Good job. You're doing a good job. Don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter. 6 a.m, and soon as you walk through that door, everyone needs you again. The world's out of order. It's not as sound when you're not around. All day on your feet, hard to keep that energy, I know. When it feels like the end of the road, you don't let go. You just press forward. The mothers, the fathers, the teachers that reach us, strangers to friends that show up in the end. From the bottom to the top, the listeners that hear us, this is for you. You make me fearless. You're doing a good job. A good job. You're doing a good job. Don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter. Well done, good and faithful servants. Keep up the good work. Keep up the love. We are God's children now. What we shall later be, that's going to be even more amazing.